money. It's blood money, guys. It's supposed to be epic and dramatic blood money.
Blood.
Yeah. Well, all right. Now that we got the credits out of the way, let's go ahead and transition to group therapy. This is where we check in with all the characters individually, see how they're feeling about the current situation before we dive into the dire consequences of the current situation.
Pardon me.
Pardon you. Well, how about Hillophax goes first, since you said.
Oh, dude. Oh, serves me right for being gassy. I just
Yep.
burp. Okay. So Hillophax, being my Azamar wizard, the enchanter. He's concerned about the actions that Thiala's recently taken, taking down the ship. This is something that could be used as an excuse, a precursor to a skirmish, possibly even war. We've essentially intercepted war materials being smuggled somewhere without an outright war being declared. People are marshalling their forces and developing strange new technologies. So this is a very precarious situation, one that I'm sure Hillophax will side with Thiala on at some point. But for now, he's against the perceived needless loss of life. Although, to be frank, Thiala's probably just saved everyone's lives. But
well, they were
yeah,
attacking us.
yes. So yeah, he's completely comfortable with the idea of subterfuge and manipulation. However, in stark contrast to On and his hand-wringing over whether enchanting people and controlling their minds is a good thing or not, Hillophax is completely comfortable with it.
And really good at it.
He's good at stuff.
He's really good at
Again,
it.
in contrast to
In contrast to On, exactly.
Yeah, so must admit, I'm enjoying Hillophax. I think that going forward, Hillophax is going to continue trying to pursue the least overtly aggressive action possible to try and achieve the most amount of good for the most amount of people. But of course, that itself has its own set of problems that go against it. So he's in a good group. I think, yeah, that's Hillophax.
Thiala is obviously, we're discovering it is a direct, stark contrast to Hillophax. It's going to be very interesting to see their dynamic. Because she is without uncertainty, or she with total certainty knows that she did it right. Like, it's not even she thinks. She knows that she made the right call in the moment. She knows that, 10 years from now, she'll, regardless of the consequences, she'll know that moment, that was the right thing to do. Because even if it does, I mean, not that she would be thinking about it, but, maybe 10 years down the road, it starts, an apocalyptic chain of events, she'll still be like, it could have been worse because of the potential for these soulless beings to be taken over by evil entities. And so she'll always go, even if it's, like I said, gets to the worst possible scenario, she'll, as far as everybody else is concerned, she'll go, I prevented the worst timeline. And so she has no qualms with that, and she's obviously a much more direct person than Hillophax is. But right now, what she's thinking about is the next step. So, in special ops, you don't just blow something up. You have to maintain order, and so her next concern is how to deal with the incoming Coast Guard.
Harbor Watch.
Yeah.
Stay immersed, guys.
Coast Guard, Harbor Watch, meh. Okay, yeah. So she's thinking right now. Her focus is on thinking about what's her next step in regards to the Harbor Watch.
All right, Asa, you're muted.
Eridu is hungry.
Eridu, don't be hungry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's Asa that's hungry. Eridu. I kind of feel like Eridu is a bit apathetic to Grimm's decision to blow up the ship. Like, usually that's the kind of thing that he kind of gets up in arms about, but right now he doesn't seem to like. I don't think he cares too much. He's got a bigger, more pressing concern, and that is the presence of Zarkon in this mechanical body and what the hell these things are in the first place. And then, of course, I think what's taking up most of his like emotional capacity right now is just worry for Egner and what's going on with the Bureau. So, you know, again, as in the last two sessions, this underlining like kind of selfish mission is getting in the way of him really emotionally connecting to what's happening here.
For sure.
He's definitely taken steps to using situations and people as a means to an end, I think is where Eridu's mindset is going. So a prime example of that is he has not acted against Zarkon possessing the Warforged as a means that Zarkon in this form can tell them about what these are, and once he's no longer useful or is a larger threat than he is an asset, then Eridu will act against him. As with these dwarven this dwarven ship that's blown up, there's a concern. I mean, Emily is not going to be too happy because it was a covert mission that went explosive.
Yeah.
But this whole mission is a means to an end anyway. It's acted as a recruitment for Eridu in order to be able to find a crew that can help him get Egner out of prison. So, out of magical
prison.
Whatever. So yeah, it's all means to an end. I think that slowly Eridu is becoming a bit of a string puller.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very logical thing for Eridu, and it represents him becoming hardened in a way, very very much hardened. And and I was going to remind you as well that when you left Emily, Eridu made it very known that he wanted to find a way to break Egner out, and
right.
Emily was like, well, I'm not really sure how to help you with that, but I will see what I can do about making some connections and finding some help for you.
And I believe that was a bit of the, yes, I will help you, like I'll do this mission for you, but I need aid in getting Egner free. Like that was because of the transaction that he made with her in the first place. So, all right. Well, I'm good.
Well, all right. So then that is group therapy for us. So yes, like I said, the last thing that happened is that Kaylee Copperfire had the spyglass out, and she noticed the harbor watch ship fast approaching. And it fast approaches from the east, as Kyle starts reading stuff. Malcolm barks an order immediately to take down the Harbor Watch flag. The rest of the Tranquility crew...
I'm going to interrupt.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to derail you offhand.
Sure.
I'm going to bark at Malcolm, and I'm going to say, belay that order.
Malcolm stops in his tracks and fixes you with a forceful glare. You seem to forget, Miss Aloro, that you are on my boat. This is my boat. I'm the captain.
What plan do you have? They've seen our flag. I have a better way. Lay the order, and when they get here, I hired you. You work for me. Do you get it?
Might I suggest, Miss Aloro, that given that the captain has us aboard at his discretion,
Not literally. I want them to act that way. I'm not hiring them. They are to act that way. This gives them a level of plausible deniability, so even if I go down, I save their ship.
indeed. However, since we are truly serving at his discretion, perhaps it would be best to suggest to the captain a course of action.
Fine. I suggest to you, Captain, that you immediately listen to me.
Look, all I know is that my crew is not taking the fall for something that you did. And he looks at you and he's pointing, and you have a high enough insight, and also this is something that he's not necessarily trying to hide, but he's like shaking. His body is shaking in this way that suggests that seeing the other ship blown up like right in front of his face and knowing that you did that, like, that is fucking terrifying to him. And
okay, so I'm going to get in his face, and I am going to, in a way that
Drew.
I'm in a way that is going to make it seem project to him that I am doing this in a way that allows his crew to be comfortable with this decision. I am going to get in his face and just say, look, I understand your reservations. You need to do it my way. It's on me. You have to trust me. But if your crew doesn't listen to me, we all go down. If you need, I'll roll intimidation.
No, he's like I stated, he's in this very kind of emotionally compromised kind of state.
Right.
He's clearly panicking, and
right.
He realizes that you're trying to give him some kind of out, and he says, fine, we'll do it your way, as long as my crew can get out of this.
Your crew will get out of this one way or another.
How close is the Harbor Watch ship?
I was before this whole conversation got started, I was going to state that you guys do have a chance to prepare a plan. It's not so close that they're just going to be on you immediately,
right.
But they are fast approaching, so you have a chance to plan something out.
Seeing this deliberation between Theala and Malcolm, Eridu jumped into the water, and he is currently kind of holding himself close to the boat, waiting for the other boat to get closer. When it does, he is going to swim underneath it.
Okay.
So while that's going on, I want to go over to the edge where to the side. I don't know if it's port or starboard, but I want to go to the side where the ship just sank. And I want to see if there are any dwarves that are whatchamacallit?
Still alive?
Still alive, yeah.
Okay, hold on just a second. Drew, are you okay? You're having kind of a conniption fit there. You're muted.
You're muted, bro.
My apologies. Yeah, sorry. While Mal was... I was worried that Theala was going to get chucked off the boat there, so I was preparing myself to the moment it seemed like Mal was like, you know what? To hell with you. I was going to jump in to get in the way of that bullet and try and calm Mal down in
Oh,
defense
okay.
of Theala.
Calm emotions or something like.
Yeah. However, thankfully it managed to sort of
Yeah.
resolve itself in the
Worked
short
out.
term. Anyway, the long term relationship between Theala and Mal is probably
Compromised.
irreparable. Yeah.
Very compromised.
But yeah, so I will just sort of mention to Mal that he's doing the right decision by taking into account the plans and ideas of others on the ship, and that he does well as captain, reinforcing the fact that he's in charge, but that listening to strategists that he has at his disposal is a good idea. Sort of try and smooth over.
For sure. Malcolm just grumbles back at you and says, "You don't need to patronize me, but guess I appreciate it."
Thank you. Anything that I can do, just give me a call.
Very well. My crew and I will try and make ourselves scarce.
Captain, I don't need you scarce. I need you active, actually.
Okay, very well, very well. We're here.
What is the plan then?
I was gonna tell Theala really quick.
23 perception for.
Oh yeah, for sure. You see, there's at least 2 dwarves that are like, the ship is like still sinking. It didn't sink like immediately, and it's not quite doing like a Titanic like break or like epic like.
Right.
Falling down like that. But yeah, it is sinking, and there's definitely 2 dwarves that are trying to make their way up on the rigging, and everything is like swaying, and some stuff is breaking, so it's really hard for them to make it up there very fast. But there's 2 dwarves that are trying to get up on the rigging, and you definitely see some corpses and some flaming corpses as well.
Right.
And yeah, it's not a pretty sight, but there are some dwarves still alive out there.
Okay. Captain, can you get me your 2 best swimmers and go get those 2 dwarves?
What?
Trust me. I don't have time. When you get them, I'll explain.
My crew is not risking their lives on that flaming hunk that you created.
If you want to get out of this alive, we have to act like we're escorting them.
All right, fine. Malcolm barks a couple of orders, and yeah, I mean, like, they have the lifeboat, so Shepard Parma and Jane Cobb get on the lifeboat, and they start to get that down. And yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna say you guys have like maybe just another second, because Hilofax did ask, like, what is the plan? You guys have like just a very short amount of time to like talk, and then the ship's gonna be on you.
Right. So I guess I will.
I'm gonna act. So there's that.
Well, I mean, I know what you're doing. You're in the water already.
And if the boat's that close, I'm probably gonna start swimming toward it. If I can swim toward it without. I mean, if it's about 30 to 60 feet away from our ship, then I'm gonna swim toward it. Because that's what.
You just muted yourself mid-sentence.
Yeah, I did. 1 or 2 rounds I can get there, and I won't be noticed at that short.
I really love the idea of Eridu to be stealthy, makes a noise like a dolphin, and just leaps off the side of the ship.
Something like that.
Okay, so
he did the silly salmon right off the side. Ship.
Theala, your suggestion is that the rest of us appear to be subservient to you, that you are running this ship as a combat barge?
The crew. So my idea is this. The 3 of us, the 2 of us have commissioned this ship to escort the dwarves. Okay? You and the dwarves hired us, and we hired the crew. We are their protection. They needed me and you because we worked together as a means of getting through all forms of customs, and we are both strong enough to provide a certain level of security, which allows us to hire the boats that we need without tallying up a boat that has offensive capabilities.
So we explain our current flagging.
Yes. As a means of a subterfuge to bypass piracy.
I see. Well, let us see if such a ruse is successful.
Yes. What we need is, do you have some way of communicating with them, the dwarves, before the other ship gets here?
The dwarves that likely will seek the aid of those that have not tried to attack them recently.
Yes.
And you want me to convince them to corroborate our end of the story?
Do you have a magical means of communicating with them before they get on the ship? Otherwise, I will talk to them first, and then you can.
Oh, I'm not suggesting that it's not possible. I'm simply stating that on its own, your plan is a little foolhardy, but with my help, may be able to be pulled off.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So I will. So these dwarves that are they swimming towards us, or do I need to go to them basically?
The dwarves that I mentioned were climbing on the rigging of the sinking ship. There is currently a lifeboat being lowered into the water from the Tranquility to try and go to the sinking ship to pick them up.
Then I will join that lifeboat.
Well, if you don't have... Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Because then I'll be able to talk to them before because the big ship's going to come to us, presumably, first, the Tranquility. Or perhaps even rock up to the sinking ship. If I get to the sinking ship at the same time or just before the Harbor Watch, then I'll be able to brief the dwarves and get them to corroborate our story.
Okay. That's fine. If you have to, use whatever spells you need to.
I'm quite capable of managing my resources, but thank you for the suggestion, Theala. You are indeed a master strategist, mistress strategist, strategist mistress, a strategistress.
Strategist is fine.
Very well.
Fine.
Yes, I shall use my substantial arcane powers to gain an advantage.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, Eridu, it's time to swim. Are you trying to do anything to mask your swimmery?
So, I was going to, with your discretion.
Yeah, I mean, lay it on me.
I was going to use my water whip to, like, propel myself underwater. So I was thinking I'd just like duck underwater and summon that thing, and then just like spin it around behind me like a propeller to like increase my movement speed.
Water whip.
Which my movement speed is normally 45. I think my swim speed is probably half that.
Makes sense.
Which you can, by the way, dash.
Yeah, I could key point and dash, and I could do all kinds of stuff to like really improve my speed in this moment. I just need to make sure that I have 3 key points left over for my very last action.
Who else was it that was in the rowboat with me? Was it Jane Cobb?
It's Jane Cobb,
and Shepard Parma.
Shepard Parma, yep.
So the water can go ahead and make a dexterity 13 check.
Well, you gotta roll dice on this show at some point, so I rolled a 6. What does that mean?
It means it fails and I get to do my little water whip thing, I guess. I don't know. This is a really unconventional use of this, so I have no idea.
The ocean
Master
takes
Jacob.
damage.
Watch him whip. Watch him. Nay, over there.
How far is the ship at this point?
Man, you know, it's like I guess like when you're talking about ships being close to each other, or distance between ships, like 60 feet is not a big
It's-
distance at
Yeah,
all.
pretty close.
100
you can't
feet
see
is
over that. You
not-
could probably could have done that in 120 feet, and they wouldn't have seen you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're completely submerged under the water.
I will be when I get close to the ship. Yeah,
Okay. I'm just thinking about you got to make some kind of stealth check.
I'll
Here.
definitely make a stealth check.
I mean, definitely you got to make a stealth check.
I'll do that. I don't mind.
I mean,
You got to roll
yeah,
dice at some point in this game.
Exactly. I mean, we've established that you have plenty of propulsion. I'm going to
All
say
right.
you have enough propulsion to get to where you want to be next to the ship or under the ship or whatever.
So I rolled my trusty Hero's Fate dice.
And how to do?
Yeah. Well, one face is completely blank because it's the one, right?
Is it?
And so I rolled it, and I rolled a blank. But also the paint came out of my 19. So my 1 and my 19 are both completely blank. I rolled a 19. That's a
wait.
total of 25.
No, I think you rolled a 1, dude.
No,
No,
I had
actually-
to look at it to like see
No.
the indentation, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's the 19.
All right, fine. I'll go with it.
25 in total.
All right, so I'll just make some rolls here. Where's my d20s?
Oh, my prototype dice. I love you.
Uh-huh.
And I give you so much grace because you're
Well, I can't necessarily let you know if you were seen or not, and there's no way that you would be able to see if you were seen, but
oh, good.
you swim and you sneak and you
Well-
get under the boat.
Yep, when I get to the bottom of the boat, I'm then going to, under the water, hopefully suppressing some of the sound of this, but we'll see. I'm going to go right ahead and use my wonderful Gong of the Summit ability and use 3 of my key points to cast Shatter on the bottom of the boat. I'm just going to give it a good punch and attempt to shatter this.
Hmm.
Which I love
What?
using. Yeah, dude. I love using Shatter.
What's
on
with you
ships.
guys and sinking every ship that comes your way?
Okay, in my thought process here, I'm not actually trying to sink it. I'm
Okay.
trying to cause enough damage that it begins to leak to a level of it being concerning, and this becomes their chief worry. That's my goal.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think that 3d8 thunder damage is going to be enough to actually sink.
3d8 is not 8d6.
Yeah,
Kind of far away from each other.
they're not very close. So you got to listen to me rifle through my bag of dice and try to find my 3d8.
I'm trying to comprehend how Shatter would react underwater.
It is a thunder spell. There's that.
Yeah.
That's 12 points of damage. And I don't think it does any extra against magical or objects.
It-
just
It
damage.
might operate just as well at close range underwater. Water's quite good at transferring kinetic energies, especially sound waves and waves in general.
Word.
Well, and he's hitting it directly, so it's not like it's going to muffle it that much.
Yeah.
It does, in theory, get to make a save and has disadvantage because it's made of, it says stone, crystal, or metal. No, it's a creature. I'm sorry. That's a creature.
Oh.
Where
Nope.
the heck is the spot on
Shatter just basically, it just.
non-magical objects that aren't being
just
warded
fucks
carried
shit up.
also take damage in the spell's area? Yeah, so it just doesn't make a save. It just takes the damage.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you dealt some damage. The
Yep.
Shatter, is it like you punch the wood? and
That's
that
the way that
shatter-
I've always kind of role played it. I just kind of bam, and then I just cast that spell. It's a 10-foot radius. It's a 10-foot area
Mhm.
for when my fist hits.
Yeah. So what happens is like a shockwave. It's like, there's like crazy stuff like when a bomb goes off underwater or whatever. It's like all the water gets like pushed out. There's this huge pressure wave. There's almost like this like bubble of like nothingness, and then that just totally like equalizes or like, equilibrium happens. So what happens to you, like I'll describe what happens to the ship in a second, but what happens to you is that you get blasted like further down in the water, and it's like I got to say the shock is enough to where you were doing a good job of holding your breath, but now it's like you accidentally sucked in a little bit of water, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for real, because the shock of it, you were just like right there. And then you get blown back, and then when the equilibrium happens, you get sucked back into it, and your body smashes against against the ship, and you take 3 bludgeoning damage. And also, if you stay in the water for much longer, you might drown.
All right, I am making my athletics check to try to like fight against this concussive force and get myself so at least I can get my head above the water, right at the bottom, like the level with the ship.
Okay, I mean, you are like on the very. Were you on the side or were you on like the very bottom? Because I was picturing you're on like the very bottom of it.
I mean, that'd probably be fine. I'm
Okay.
assuming maybe not all the way to the bottom because that's probably the strongest part of the boat. But like, yeah.
For sure. So your attack against the hull of the ship, you can see that it did indeed cause a crack. It did not cause a like hole or anything.
Okay.
But you did crack the ship, and you'd have to get on the other side to really see like what the effect is as far as water coming into the vessel or not.
All right. Holding on to the ship, I'm gonna go up and get a breath of air, and if we're gonna go in rounds of combat, I will let somebody else go, and then I'll make my next move.
Okay.
I'd have my next move planned out, but I'll make it when we're there.
For sure. So what you guys hear on the surface is like it's not like that dramatic, but you definitely see a disturbance in the water around the ship, and there's this dull, like muffled, like thud kind of sound, and it's really hard to tell what the hell that was.
Could I make a nature check to see if that was a sea kraken?
Yeah, absolutely. You could.
I rolled a 2.
All right.
It's a sea kraken.
You definitely think that there's a sea kraken, and that makes the situation all the worse. So as the ship gets closer and it experiences that whole thing that Eridu did, there is a lot of activity that springs up onto the deck. The ship approaches alongside the Tranquility. It is a large vessel, and the deck is stocked with crossbow-wielding humans, and it also is carrying a lot of lifeboats. The lifeboats on the ship are lowered, and they start to rush toward the sinking wreckage that's behind you. There is a particular human on the deck. He is wearing a suit of chainmail, and he cups his hands around his mouth, and he yells at you, and his voice booms out from him at a very like unnaturally large volume. Like even though he's doing this, like what he's shouting, like there's no business of it being that loud. So it's like he's megaphoning over to you guys.
Well, player knowledge is obviously thermatology. Should I roll an Arcana?
I mean, yeah, you can easily.
Okay.
Easily.
Hold on, what's my Arcana? Oh yeah, 16. So yeah, obviously
you recognize it as a pretty standard cantrip, and that you also start to infer that this guy maybe has access to more divine magic. If he's able to do that, it's possible he's got other divine magics at his command. And what he megaphones over to you guys is, Malcolm Rangthol, we have authority to board your vessel. Drop anchor and drop your weapons. That is an order. I'll allow you guys to make little perception checks right now.
Ooh.
Not amazing, but
17.
17.
Sure, that's good. So the first
Twinsies.
So the first thing that you see is that on the guy who just yelled at you, who's wearing the chainmail, he has a holy symbol around his neck, and then also he's got this pattern that is on his, he's got a tabard over his chainmail, and the symbol on the tabard is the same. And I'll show it to you right here. Can y'all see that yet? Oh yeah, we gotta wait for it. Yeah. So it's like a little morning star looking thing.
Is it a Winterremus morning star?
No, it is the. Okay, I'm gonna make a religion check.
Make a religion check. It's the time to do that.
10.
This is a major deity, so it's like actually kind of easy difficulty to get that check happening. Yeah. You recognize it as the holy symbol of Samas the Lawbringer.
Yep.
That's him. Samas, it's one of those standard deities of like civilization. It's all about keeping the law, like honoring that, bringing villains to justice, and most importantly, finding out the truth.
Right.
And seeing if that truth matches up with the law. Yeah. So,
mechanically, I switched over to the order domain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so this is... so as far as I'm concerned, there's a giant sea monster, and they already know that this is Malcolm's ship, so the plan's gone awry before we've even had a chance to enact it. I will send Tobias over back to the Tranquility to have a quick word with Theala.
Okay.
I shall see through its senses, and if I'm within 100 feet, I can telepathically communicate with it. It can mimic things, so in theory, we could hold a conversation so long as I'm within 100 feet of Tobias.
Word. Okay.
Which means that I could probably just shout it to Theala, really.
There's no subtlety there, though.
True. Yes.
There's
Tobias
no
adds
subtlety.
Yeah.
Excuse you.
I was going to tell you also, with your perception checks that you had, you can see that there are at least 4 other armored and armed watchmen. We'll call them watchmen for now.
Right.
They're wearing leather armor. They have sharp-looking rapiers at their hip, and some of them have crossbows. And they have eyes on your ship, and they look like ready to go at a moment's notice.
Okay, so I'm going to just basically unhook my weapons belt and just drop it.
Okay.
Right where I stand, and I'm going to
I'll allow Tobias to flutter over right now, and you guys can try and have a conversation.
What's the plan, Theala?
It scratches little beak on my shoulder, and I say, stay here, so we can keep, stay here, but, you can, hello, Fax, you can continue on with the mission as planned. Let's see where it goes.
Okay. Over.
Over and out. Over and out.
So yeah, just keep her here, and just keep her here.
Yeah, I'll keep Tobias on the ship. Then I'll regain my own senses.
Yeah.
I don't think I've assigned a gender to Tobias. You know what? Tobias hasn't let me know what gender Tobias is.
Okay.
And I'm not going to take away Tobias's agency by looking.
Don't make any suggestions or predeterminations.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm gonna urge Jane Cobb to row faster. Let's get to the dwarves quickly.
Okay, boss.
So I'm going to go to where the gangplank is, and then stand about where I figure, or the opening in the railing on a ship, where the gangplank should go.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just stand far enough away back from it where it'll afford them the space to put their actual gangplank on our ship and then file out onto the ship. But I'm going to stand.
So you're pretty much just making it an obvious gesture of like, we're going to allow you to board.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, the Malcolm gave the order to drop the anchor. They've dropped their anchor. Everything looks steady. The one in front is who you assume to be some kind of cleric of Samas. He's up front, and his crew takes the gangplank and gets it out all the way, and now it's bridging your two ships. And he starts filing over, keeping a wary eye on everyone who's on the top deck of the Tranquility. Before he gets to the gangplank, I'm going to switch back over to, well, actually Asa really quick, because Asa, you've been out of the loop for a while. So
Yeah.
you are next to the ship. If you look up, you can see the gangplank.
And how far below me is my crack that I made?
About 10 to 15 feet.
Cool. I can make it with one swim-based movement pretty easily. All right, I can swim down there and rear back and muster all my ki, using the last of it to go ahead and do my little punchy punch. Which one is this? It's the Fist of Unbroken Air, and I'm going to punch that crack. And I'm going to deal some bludgeoning damage right to it.
Oh wow. Okay, so is this a spell like ability thing?
It is, in fact. Yeah.
What spell is it that you are mimicking?
It's Fist of the Unbroken Air, so it's not actually any particular spell. It's just a I guess in this case, because it's a strength check, maybe you could rule that the thing could make a dexterity or make a save, and see if I even deal any damage to it, or deal full damage to it.
Actually, it's more of like a damage threshold thing that it has going on.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Then I hit it, and that would be 18 points of damage.
Okay, that's
bludgeoning damage.
It's more damage, and you're focusing it on
that splinter that I made.
Splinter. Okay. Yep. Yeah, I will definitely say that your fist goes and just pop, just punches through very neatly a fist-sized hole through the splintered crack thing, and
all right.
you pull your fist back out, and yeah, you can definitely tell that the water is kind of flooding in, and we're gonna and you're gonna go back up to
yeah,
surface?
I'm just gonna at that point the rest of my actions will be to climb back aboard my ship.
Okay,
that's enough to make me contented.
Yeah, it'll take you a little while to clamber up there. And while that's happening, that one didn't cause nearly as much noise or disturbance as the shatter did. So everyone up top is kind of unawares of what's going on right there. So at this moment, what's his butt? Actually, you guys don't even know his name yet, but the cleric type dude is gotten across the gangplank, and he is on the deck of the Tranquility. And Josh, I will allow you to make either an Arcana or an Insight check, whichever is higher for you.
I guess Arcana, technically. That one.
Okay. All you can see, all you can focus on is the cleric in front of you, and as you look at his holy symbol, there's a slight chill that goes down your spine. You know, just it doesn't seem like any actual external force making you feel that way, but There's just something unsettling about this dude and the way that he wields that symbol.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I forgot I was actually going to give Drew a chance, because like right now he would be making it to the wreckage of the ship.
Yeah.
And the dwarves that you were going toward, they obviously have seen you coming on the lifeboat. They don't seem like super interested right now to get on your lifeboat, because they know that you came from the Tranquility, So, and they haven't shouted anything down to you, but you are within shouting distance of them.
Okay. In which case, I will shout across. Not to alarm you, but there appears to be some kind of giant sea creature attacking the Harbor Watch. I'd recommend climbing aboard here and surviving. We can discuss the details later.
You fool! There's no sea creature! There's just a magic creature!
Well, surely it's in the sea. That would qualify it as a sea creature for now, would it not?
No! It's the one that was on your ship! That threw the fireballs at our ship!
Oh. Well, regardless.
That's the only creature we're concerned about.
Surely you can see that climbing aboard our boat, which does not have holes in, would be preferable to remaining on your boat, which does.
Well, they're still sinking, and they're getting closer to you. And at this point, they just start bickering with each other, and they start bickering with each other even more. And they say, what?
Oh, if I get the opportunity to, I may well cast a spell. But if they're about to say something, then
No,
I'll let them speak.
I don't know. I really think you should cast some kind of spell.
Yes, I am going to. How? Well, hold on, just one moment. One additional creatures. 1, 2. 3 and 4. Are there 4 dwarves or fewer?
Right now, you can see only 2 of them. There may be more survivors beyond that.
Okay, then I will cast Charm Person as a 2nd level spell, getting 2 of them. So they need to make a Wisdom saving throw, which is saving throw 15.
15, huh? That's pretty good. Wow. All right. You've successfully charmed both of them.
Yes. In which case, I shall hold my hands aloft. Foolish dwarves! You do not wish to die, nor do I wish you ill. Now climb aboard, gather your brethren, and we shall all survive this day.
Okay, fine. That sounds like a better idea now that you say it like that. And they start clambering down the rigging as fast as they can, and they start yelling out some names that, you're assuming are the names of their brethren that they hope are still alive. Or, they could be some of the flaming corpses that are surrounding them on the sinking deck. Whatever. Could be one or the other. But yeah, so you are essentially in the process of collecting at least these 2 dwarves. As Hillophax looks back to the scene between the Tranquility and, oh, by the way, the name of the other ship, you can see on the side, it says Stalwart.
Ooh.
The Tranquility and the Stalwart. You also see 3 lifeboats that are heading very quickly in your direction, Hillophax. All right.
Okay.
So we go back to Theala, who is on the deck right in front of the cleric, and he introduces himself. Hello, I am Joff Haymore, and I'm the commander of this vessel belonging to the Harbor Watch. And you are?
Major Theala Loro. At your pleasure.
The pleasure is mine. Now, Major Oloro, will you please shed some light on this mystery? can you explain why you are with Malcolm Rangel next to the flaming remains of this ship?
Yes. We hired Malcolm and his crew and his ship, of course, to help us escort my clients who were carrying sensitive and fragile, if you will, materials that are dangerous if not handled correctly. And something happened. I couldn't tell you what. Obviously, I am here on the Tranquility with the good captain. And it went off. I saw that there were 2 dwarves who are still alive out there. We've sent someone to go rescue them. It appears that you have sent some people too. It's unnecessary, and thank you for the aid.
He merely puts his hand up here on his forehead, and he says, "I would have hoped that you would have not lied from the first, but I guess we'll have to do it this way."
Yeah, I don't get at the minimum a deception. How insightful is he?
Well, no, it's just more of like it's information that he hasn't quite revealed yet, you know. But
okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I don't lie. This is the events in question. Are you saying
a bald-faced lie
that you have information that I don't?
Our ship was the one that was tasked with escorting this vessel.
That's not what my clients told me.
You obviously are in the false, and I won't have that. And at that, he says a magic word and makes a waving gesture with his hand, and he casts a spell. He casts Zone of Truth.
Okay.
And
what's the save?
You are able to make a charisma saving throw, which is probably going to be pretty good for you.
It's I don't know, something like +7.
It's like pretty good for you. You
know? What's the save DC?
It is 14.
Oh, that's nice. That's my roll +7, so 21.
Well, there you go. So, what does it say?
I think that alerts him though, like he knows who's under the influence and who's not.
You know whether each creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw.
Yeah.
All right, and I don't know. I guess who else would be in that zone? It'd be like Malcolm's there, you know. So I'm gonna roll for Malcolm.
We didn't actually establish that. As far as I know, it was just me. You didn't establish that.
Okay.
See, I was imagining the crew's like still sort of there, and maybe even like Zarkon stomping around in the background doing all robot moves.
Well, right, but not right there because I was at the gangplank.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, like you told them that to be around, so you know. Like I'm gonna say that at least Malcolm was there, and Malcolm is absolutely failed. He is so like fucking terrified at this whole situation that he has no way to
for fun's sake. When I get close enough to the ship, I want to face step, so I'm in the zone, so I can make the roll.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm using up all of my abilities, but I love Zone of Truth. It is such a fun spell. So much fun.
It's a fun one. And so Haymore he looks to Malcolm and he says,
"Oh, I fail like a boss."
Oh, okay. So he looks to Malcolm and he says, "Finally, I will be able to hear the truth from you, silver-tongued bastard." and then he looks to Fiala and says, I was hoping for the same for you, but if I must endure your falsehoods, then I must endure your falsehoods. And then...
Hello. I don't believe we've met yet. My name is Eridu Samaria. It is a pleasure to meet you.
And I suppose you are telling the truth about your name, Eridu.
Why would I not be? I have no reason.
Does Eridu face step with or without the moisture?
It'd be
Like,
wet.
Is he wet?
He is soaked from head to foot.
He is super duper soaked.
I mean, he wears very light clothing, so but it's still pretty wet.
Yeah. So he takes that in.
Dang it.
He takes that in, and he makes maybe a bit of an insight roll, seeing Eridu step into the picture, and he focuses his attention on both Malcolm and Eridu, and he says with an authoritative tone in his voice, "Now, you will tell me what happened here."
Well, I was just in the water, and I happened to find that there's been some severe damage to the hull of your ship, and it seems to be taking in water. That is exactly what happened here, in the most recent recollections that I can recall.
His eyes go wide, and then some members of the crew from his ship pop up from below decks, and they shout exactly that. "Captain, we're taking on water! There's damage to the hull!" And he fixes you with a deadly glare, and he just says, he shouts some orders back, and as he does this, he's taking out his morning star that he has at his hip, and he's saying, "Patch it up as best you can. The rest of you, get over here. We're taking this ship for ourselves."
You know, why would you want to do this? This ship is
Fireball.
vastly inferior to yours.
Roll.
You're on a
initiative.
wooden
It's-
ship!
It's
You're on a wooden ship! Stop setting fire to every wooden ship!
yeah, about that.
This
Well,
is such a D&D thing to do.
it's a very D&D thing to do, and before anything like that happens,
I have no qualms because this is a cleric of the order domain who is clearly doing something at minimum illegal. I have no qualm with this situation whatsoever.
Fiala's got to do what Fiala's got to do, boo.
Yeah.
You know.
So
Well,
go ahead and make all of them. Make all of the I don't know because I don't know where everyone's at. So the largest concentration of the enemy on the ship.
Well, I think Carl was going to finish describing a thing first.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I was gonna tell y'all motherfuckers to roll initiative.
Nice.
No, I mean like, yeah.
Would that
like
not be?
as
Would
soon
that be
as he-
considered a? I guess surprise.
I
No,
mean,
it's,
no, it's come on. You
b-
can't
b-
just like always say like I do this and then expect it to immediately happen. You know, it's like you can't always expect that.
I think
You
the
know.
I
best
don't
argument
always
here
expect
is
it, but I mean, I did legitimately.
I think the best argument here is we all know Theala just fireballed another ship. It's no surprise she's doing it.
There's there's no surprises whatsoever.
I
know.
mean, in all, like I said, it's whatever. In all fairness, but
It's
no, but
no,
in,
there
in
there
Raw,
doesn't have to be fairness with the DM. You're completely misunderstanding
my
the
initiative
power
is 16.
dynamic here.
I'm gonna end this argument. My initiative is 16.
Yeah.
But mine is 17.
Okay.
19.
Okay. Let me.
So
write
you
some
probably will
stuff
get a fireball
down.
before we get to react.
Yeah.
You all rolled pretty high.
All right. So I'm sorry. 17 was Hilofax.
Yep.
16. And let me get
Eridu.
some rolls here. Alright, that is going to be that, and then
Sorry if I'm a little distracted as well. I just got a couple of pop-ups and things saying I've got some reviews and they're quite nice.
oh, there you go.
I'll share those with you during the break. But, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mind on the game. Mind on the game.
For sure.
But we're in the evening, right? If I remember correctly.
I mean,
Wasn't it like midday?
it's like
Yeah, it was like
it's
3 in
like
the afternoon.
midday. Yeah, it's still like the late
It's
afternoon.
still bright. It's still direct sunlight out.
Yeah, it's still direct sunlight out for
Okay.
sure. Okay,
The thing I have to
so
think about as a drow.
yeah, it pretty much. I'm gonna make the Tranquility crew non-combatants for now. If they get pulled into it, they get pulled into it or whatever. But for now, they're non-combatants. The initiative order is Theala, Hilofax, Eridu, and then yeah, that's pretty much it for you guys. And then I'll do enemy stuff.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So they gotta make their save.
Okay, so Fireball is a what radius again?
20-foot radius.
20-foot radius. Let me get a little schematic out here. Kind of checking it out.
So is this guy still on the end of the gangplank? So like, are you?
Well, I'm assuming he's
on the
on our side.
Tranquility.
He's on the Tranquility.
He's on the Tranquility.
Right.
Okay.
But the rest of his crew are on their deck.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you are gonna go for a 20-foot radius there, and
Yeah,
the
widest possible damage.
Yeah, and the stairs that lead down to the pretty much like where the rest of the crew would be coming out of from the bottom deck. That is located near the back end. So I'm gonna say that you're like centering your fireball over there because there's dudes that just popped their heads up and said like, "Hey, yo, there's something wrong with the ship." And so there's a concentration over there, and they make dexterity saving throws. What is the DC?
15.
Okay. All right. And all right, so only one saved.
Only one saved.
Only one saved. And
Oh yeah, this is not going to be pleasant for them.
man,
27.
Josh just got a fireball everything, dude. So 27 damage.
Give me a little choice, man.
Yeah. For real.
You gave me a little choice.
No,
Like...
all I'm saying is you guys fucked up this situation from the start. Just admit it. You guys were
I
fucking
didn't fuck
it
anything
up.
yet.
No, all of you were fucking everything up. Just admit it.
Hey, there is no wrong way to play D&D, all right? There's just the ways that lead to TPKs.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know there's much of a TPK when I probably, like, did some... I may not have killed them, but I definitely fucked their worlds.
I'm pretty sure Eridu is going to drown in this particular combat, but we'll find out.
Okay. Yeah, dude, I actually thought he was going to drown too. I mean, why didn't he again? Why didn't he drown?
Because
you have, like, the whole... You can hold your breath. I think it's a minute for every Constitution score.
It's something pretty ridiculous. You actually gave a pretty good reason for why I would have to make some kind of check.
Yeah, I mean, with the shatter,
Right, but
yeah, it's just like the way that would happen.
Once you've got that taste of salt water in your mouth, there's no going back to holding your breath successfully for a long period of time.
No, honestly.
Yeah.
But it did give you the time up front.
Yeah,
I think it's around per point of constitution, not modifier, but the actual constitution.
Right, yeah, actual point. So you can hold your breath for 10 minutes, Eridu.
1 minute if you've got a constitution of 10.
Yeah.
Word.
One round per point.
Oh, one round, so not 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with a Constitution 10, holding my breath for 10 minutes is pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
I can't hold my breath for 10 minutes, and I've got a Constitution of at least 10 as a real person.
I thought okay, so it's rounds, not minutes. Okay.
It's running. Running is like a minute per point of constitution.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Theala let out her fireball, and it just streaks off past Joff Haymore's body, and he looks at it looks backwards as the fireball increases in size and smacks into the back part of his ship, just fucking incinerating it. And he just fucking yells in response. He yells right in your ear with just rage and contempt in his voice. And the survey of the damage pretty much is like, so I mentioned that there was like four like harbor watchmen that seemed like they were ready to go, and there was 2 on the side in that direction where you did the fireball, and one of them definitely took some damage. The other seems to have shielded themselves a little bit, and then there was a whole group of other ones that were like clustered near those stairs, and all of those guys just pretty much got like knocked out, dude. Yeah. So it was a pretty successful attack. That the top of that ship is definitely burning.
Is this a group of minions versus wall of fire style situation?
I mean, I'm not going to reveal too much, but there could be elements of that happening.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
Fiala is almost as awesome as Calthazar. We have determined this. Good.
Almost. All right. So, anything else to happen on Fiala's turn other than the fireball?
Hold on. I am going to provide. Inspiration to Eridu. Yeah, I'm just gonna provide inspiration to Eridu. I'm gonna be like,
It's a D8.
yeah, it's currently a D8. So I'm gonna be like, remember that time in the hills of Beneath?
Why don't you remind me later?
I just, yeah.
And he gives a wink.
Yeah. And then I back off a bit.
Okay. All right, that makes it Halifax's turn.
Does.
Halifax, you have successfully collected the dwarves. You have just turned the lifeboat around, and the other 3 lifeboats that came from the stalwart, they are very close to you now, and you see that every one of the people in the lifeboats, there's at least 3 in a lifeboat. I mean, there's at least 2. Some of them have 3. So you're looking at a collection of like 8 people between these 3 lifeboats. And they all are uniformed, armed, armored, and they've got all their eyes just completely fixed on you. But then Fiala's fireball just happened, so all of you, all 8 of them, and the 2 dwarves, and you, and Shepherd Parma, and Jane Cobb, all, your heads whip around to see the giant billowing black smoke cloud creep up from the stalwart, and there is just a stunned silence, and then the 3 lifeboats in front of you start quickly rowing their way away from y'all and making a beeline toward the tranquility.
Okay. What I will do then is I'm going to try and help Jane Cobb get us back there faster. I can deliver touch spells through Tobias.
Yes.
Yes.
But the only touch spell I have is the light cantrip.
Ah.
So
Okay.
A lot of my other spells do have fantastic range, but at the moment, nothing is striking me as useful, especially given Halifax's understanding of the I mean, yes, there is lightning bolt, but to attack whom? The small rowboats are rowing away from me. Lightning bolts, it has a range of
100
Also
feet.
feet. Yeah, but I'd say, especially with how much lower down than
Right, it would be having you guys up
the-
against you.
And
I have what, sorry?
you could potentially strike the tranquility too, which would not be nice.
Mm. So yeah, because it's a line as well rather than anything
Right,
else.
right.
Yeah.
You have fear for the guys that are in front of you.
True. No, I think I'm just gonna row back towards the tranquility as quickly as possible
Okay.
while speaking with dwarves. So I will try to brief the dwarves quickly that while they're still hopefully under the influence of the charm person, which should last an hour. Yeah. So I'll tell them that we came on the tranquility, that there have been some unfortunate incidences that led to the sinking of their ship, and now apparently the attack of the Harbor Watch, that something is attacking the ships, and that it would be best to get aboard a larger vessel and getting out of here as quickly as possible.
They're just kind of nodding and not really saying anything. If you really look in their eyes, you can kind of tell that they just aren't really picking up a lot of what you're saying right now. They're just so scared for their own themselves and whatnot. They have no idea what situation they're in right now. So they're just kind of nodding and smiling and hoping that the lifeboat gets away.
In fact, could I inquire with them? Are any of you injured? Do you?
One of them shows you his arm, and he's got this gnarly gash that's going down the inside of his arm. And he's wrapped it up with some sea-soaked bandages, or more just like cloth. He's wrapped up his arm with cloth. He just mutely shows you his arm. Doesn't say anything.
I'll let him know that we'll sort it on the ship. I was considering casting the catnap spell, which puts up to 3 willing creatures of my choice unconscious, and if they remain unconscious for 10 minutes, they get the benefits of a short rest. Which allows them to heal up or whatever a little bit. But that's a 3rd level spell slot that could be better used as a lightning bolt.
For sure. For sure.
I'll just leave it at that and move on to
all right.
Eridu.
So
one question though.
Yeah.
The watch cleric dude. Did you say his name was Joff Haymore?
Joff Haymore.
So he is Haymore the Watch Mariner.
Is that a thing that I'm supposed to know about or don't know about?
Sorry.
Prince Namor of
Namor the Submariner is the Marvel Comics version of Aquaman.
Namor, huh?
Actually, vice versa, because Namor came first.
Yes, very true.
Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was so not thinking about that. I was very much doing random name generator type things on that.
No, it's good. I like it. I like it.
Haymore. Namor. He wishes he was as cool as Namor.
Eridu, go nuts.
I was going to say really quick, you help Jane Cobb do the rowing, and I gave you an assist on his athletics check, and he rolled a 20. So, yeah, so you guys are hauling ass, and you're actually getting to the point where it's like the lifeboats were in front, the other lifeboats were in front of you, and now you're gaining on them. And it looks like if you keep going at this clip, you'll surpass them and be able to make it to the Tranquility first. Because Jane Cobb is a fucking bruiser, dude.
Oh, these rowboats, are they going to the are they aiming more towards the Tranquility than the Stalwart?
They're going to the Tranquility.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then on my next turn, I may do something very different.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
All right, so then I'll make it Eridu. It is you.
All right, Eridu, feeling so inspired. How long does that inspiration last? Till the end of the round, or until I use it?
No, I think it's. I mean, you have time, but it's.
It might be like
Hold
a
on.
minute or until you use it or whatever.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
10
or
minutes.
You.
There you go.
Eridu is going to pull out his wonderful staff from wherever he keeps that, probably just like strapped around his back, and he's going to smile at this mariner and say, "Do you want to know what's going to happen now? I'm going to jump," and he is going to jump off the side of the ship.
Okay, I was supposed to make the note earlier. Fiala is like right next to Joff. He's like right next to him. Eridu, you were not right next to him, so you can do a move and not get an attack of opportunity.
So that's what I'm going to do. My move is
so
going to
that's
be
what you're
jumping
gonna
into the water. The rest of my move, I don't know how much. I mean, that's a jump. Like, does that count as my full movement? I don't
Not
know.
really. I mean, it's just like, you know, gravity's taking you down, dude. It's like
I dive
you
into the
taking
water.
yourself in.
I'll go ahead and roll some kind of check for that. What you want? Acrobatics, athletics,
Acrobatics.
acrobatics.
Make it easy on you.
Oh yeah, the first time I get a roll in acrobatics and not screw it up. That's an 11, or that's a 21.
Okay. Yeah. No, you do a graceful
Swan dive.
Swan
Got
dive.
my staff out.
Swan dive.
Then I'm gonna swim down to the puncture wound I made into the ship, and do I I don't even need to see anything. I'm just gonna take my staff and I'm just gonna start pushing it in through that at intervals. So anytime the goal is anytime someone's like trying to put something over that hole, this staff is just pushing it away.
All right. Well,
At the very best, I'm probably just giving whomever is trying to fix this disadvantage for their checks.
for sure. No, that's definitely going to be taken into account as a very annoying thing.
This is pretty much going to be my combat until something changes. Every
sure.
round is going to consist of me swimming back up or every like 3 rounds or whatever is going to consist of me swimming back up for air and then going back down.
Uh-huh.
You know, I can hold my breath for 10 rounds because I have a constitution of 10. So every minute I'm going to go back and forth.
Wow. Okay. Well, might not take that long. We'll see. So, all right. So now it's going to be Haymore's turn. And he has his Morning Star out, and he just looks so fucking pissed. And he points a finger at Fiala and shouts a word of power that resonates. Again, it's like one of those things where his voice just projects out from him. And how does this one work? I make a ranged spell attack against the target. Whoo! It's a nat 20. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. So, hold on. You can crit on spells, right? Because if you can't, I'm automatically making this a rule that you can crit on spells.
It's an attack roll.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where sage advice came down and said that strictly by the player's handbook, no, but that many people will allow it and that it's fine if you want to.
Oh, I'm allowing it. I'm allowing it.
I will just double check that I'm not just talking out my bum hole.
I could have. Man, I mean.
Oh wow! All right. So he casts Guiding Bolt, and he does 25 damage, radiant damage to you, Fiala. A flash of light streaks toward you and blasts you right in your face, and your entire world goes white and brilliant. And it also hurts quite a bit. And you are just lit up. Like, your whole body is completely lit up. And let's see, what else can he do?
My apologies. The opposite. People assumed they couldn't, and they can.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah, there we go. I remember people assumed it was one way. I know that I always have crits on spells, but I also allow crits on skill checks, which isn't.
By skill checks, crits and fumbles are not permissible, but that's not fun.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go for fun.
Yeah.
So essentially, what happens now is that some of the dudes that are on the watchmen that are on the stalwart are acting. There was like the 4 of them that I mentioned that were like ready to go at a moment's notice, and this is definitely that moment where they're ready to go. So 2 of them come charging across the gangplank onto the Tranquility, and the other 2 of them, one of which has gotten badly singed by the fireball, they drop down from the rigging where they were kind of hanging out, and they pull out their crossbows and they train them. So the crossbow ones are going to go first, and since I got a guiding bolt off, the next attack roll made against Theala has advantage. Okay, let me check that for them. Okay, so that's going to be 21 to AC.
No.
And you take 8 piercing damage from a crossbow bolt. And there's another crossbow attacking you, and that's going to be 17 against your AC.
Yeah.
And that is a 7 piercing damage as another crossbow bolt gets ya. And the 2 that are going across the gangplank, they go up to Malcolm. They go up to Malcolm, who's right there, and Malcolm has just been terrified. I mean, as soon as the guy pulled out his Morning Star, as soon as Haymore pulled out his Morning Star, Malcolm pulled out his like longsword or whatever, and you know he's like got a little Spitfire kind of thing going on. But these 2 just go right up to Malcolm and just dance around him. One pulls out a rapier and a dagger, and then the other pulls out, actually, yeah, another rapier and a dagger. And they're flanking Malcolm. So they get 2 attacks on him. Oh, that one's a hit. And that one is a miss, but it's also going to use its dagger. And that one's going to hit. And then 1 more. So it's like 3 hits. Oh, man. Yeah, Malcolm's taking some damage, guys. Malcolm's taking some damage. Alright, so the situation as it stands is that Theala has gotten flashed by a bunch of radiance and then got fucking shot up with 2 crossbow bolts. And Malcolm, the captain of the Tranquility, is flanked by 2 guys with all sorts of stabby weapons, and they're just stabbing him full of holes. And Haymore is there with his hand aloft and his Morning Star aloft as well, and he's screaming to his crew, "Take the ship! Take the ship!" And at that, it is actually the perfect time to take our break. Haymore's going to take the ship.
Take a break.
We're going to take a break.
Take a break.
Take a break. Take a break.
You've been working too hard.
You just need
all this dice rolling.
You need to take it easy.
All of you chums.
So
I don't know negative terms.
It's always exciting to have a combat on here. I feel like it's kind of rare where we have like a huge knockdown, drag out fight like this, but it is certainly happening.
I feel like as a DM and as a player, I'm terrible at combat because as a DM, I'm like, oh, you're gonna stab this vampire to death while it slowly hugs an orc. as a player, I'm like, I'm gonna go stick my staff into a hole in this ship. I'm going to essentially fornicate with this ship.
No,
for 10
Asa,
rounds.
you're doing great. Don't even worry. You're doing great.
I've already popped all of my resources before the combat even started.
And that's what makes it even funnier. So so come back in 10 to 15 minutes and find out along with the rest of us.
How much more I will screw this up.
How much more will Asa screw it up? Will the entire party end up in the brig, or will everyone sink? Will this be a total party kill with everyone drowning in the coasts off of Iridan?
TPK.
TPK. Let's find out later. We'll be right back, folks.
Goodbye.